shook the hand so true, loyal until his friend goes number 2. During the heat of the game, it's clear he's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a wink and a cheer. He's the leader that everyone fears. Quickly, it's a real heater. Once my friend, he's a locker room leader. In the chaos, he's the center, turning us into believers.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again. It is Monday night. It is 7 p.m. and we are coming off of WrestleMania weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, what an intriguing weekend it was. And we have quite a bit to cover. The landscape has shifted, and tonight we go into the Raw after WrestleMania, which you can tune into live on Netflix all around the world. You can join myself along with Chris Best and others at the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. But we do have to cover what happened last week. I would also like to say thank you all for tuning in for what is going to be the final episode of the Locker Room Breakdown, our Raw perspective. From this time slot, the show will move to Sundays beginning this weekend at 7. And we will bring you the wrestling recap where we look at everything from Raw and SmackDown and preview what is ahead. The premise stays the same. The show and the times may change. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start with last week and the Raw before WrestleMania. We had seen chaos to end Raw 2 weeks ago when Brock Lesnar and Obafemi were supposed to sign their contract. So last week, we saw something a little bit unique, something we haven't seen. We saw both men come out separately at individual times to sign their deals. We started the show off with Adam Pearce and Triple H in the ring. And I find it intriguing that you added Triple H to this mix. But I wasn't sure where you were going to go with that, because with Triple H added, you're thinking, okay, maybe we're going to get a special guest referee. Maybe we're going to get this. Maybe we're going to get this. But we did not get any of that. Instead, we did get them introducing Brock Lesnar, who came out right off the bat, introduced by Paul Heyman. And he came out, he signed the contract. Paul Heyman spoke. And Brock did, I believe, call out Obafemi as well, but we did not get the response to that. Brock shook hands. He tipped his hat to Adam Pearce before leaving. Very simple, but I liked the way we did it. Again, we have had weeks of build and physicality between these two, and you needed to keep them apart. You didn't need that physicality a week before WrestleMania, and I appreciate that. The simplicity of it, the quality of it, it delivered. We then go backstage and we saw the Vision training with ISHO Speed. Lots of different things in this because they were trying to hype ISHO Speed up, who was uncertain about the idea of even competing at WrestleMania. Yes, he's competed in the Royal Rumble, but he also ate a very, very quick 23-mile-an-hour spear from Braun Breaker in said Rumble and tore his leg up. we knew that he had been training at the PC and with Randy Orton, and even in that video, we saw a glimpse of the Viper in one of the corners watching and studying. Was this a foreshadow of things to come with Randy Orton? Was this to really try and build momentum for the Vision? I believe it was, and I believe that it worked. I was really intrigued by seeing what IShowSpeed can do. Despite his reluctance, it was a way for him to get seen and put his face out there and show what he can do to our audience pre-WrestleMania. So, very, very slow start, but very, very simple to the show. I loved it. It was very, very intriguing to me. And again, I'm big on the simplicity of everything in WWE. The simpler you keep it instead of convoluting things, which can happen and multiple storylines cross, this was a good way to showcase somebody new coming in and showing that, yes, he wants to learn the business to be able to give a decent match. We go back out to the ring for our first match of the evening. Ladies, if you want to wrestle, Presh coming in saying, yo, well, Presh, thank you for stopping in here and joining me. I greatly appreciate the fact that you're here. This is the Locker Room Breakdown. I'm going to take a look at the goings on from last Monday on Raw and preview what is ahead tonight. But ladies, if you ever want to aspire to be a professional wrestler, look at the women's division now in WWE. This is the time. We had our opening match with two members of the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Championship match for WrestleMania as Charlotte Flair faced Lyra Valkyria. The previous week, we had seen Bayley defeat Lash Legend when Bayley tripped Lash, or when Lyra tripped Lash on the superplex. We had seen on SmackDown Bayley losing to Alexa Bliss when Charlotte rolled her over and caused the pin. Fresh, I am doing very well. Thank you, my friend, for asking. We greatly appreciate that. Thank you for interacting. Please stay in the chat. Have any questions, please let us know. So this was a little bit of a get back, continuity to the storyline. This was intriguing. I loved it. And wow, did these women deliver. You are talking about two baby faces, two baby face teams, but it is time for the kid gloves to come off. We all know of Charlotte's accomplishments. We all know of Lyra Valkyria's accomplishments, your first ever women's Intercontinental Champion, a former women's tag team champion in her own right, but not with Bayley as her partner. Ladies and gentlemen, these two women put on a clinic. And I hope that we can revisit this match one-on-one, whether at a PLE, on a Raw, or on a SmackDown. Just subscribe to, I don't know. I don't run the, unfortunately, Presh, I don't run the Twitch for Turnbuckle Studios or the Discord for it. And we don't know enough about Discord yet because we're old here at Turnbuckle Studios. These two women absolutely delivered. It was catch as catch can, back and forth. But again, this was a situation where that interference, and even though Bailey and Charlotte were part of the Four Horsewomen, we also know that they have had an impressive rivalry. And this was Bailey costing Charlotte as she rolled Lyra over to get the pin and get the win. I love this. Again, you're building continuity, you're building a tag team rivalry and a rivalry between brands with Bailey and Lyra on Raw, Charlotte and Alexa on SmackDown. Again, you're starting to build and long term. We greatly appreciate that. Check out the Turnbuckle Studios Twitch channel. Thank you, Presh. We greatly appreciate that. So you're building long term because we don't know if there's going to be a draft, a transfer portal, anything like that. Are we going to see these teams broken up because of things like that? Are we going to see teams changing brands? This is very intriguing to me. There are a lot of moving parts, even in the simplicity and the stories being told. Lots of gears in the machine, so to speak. The one situation that I don't think we needed heading into WrestleMania, we had seen it the week before. Liv Morgan was talking to Dominic Mysterio, was talking to Roxanne Perez in the locker room to figure out her allegiance when Stephanie Vaquer pushed Liv from behind, causing her and Roxanne to bump heads, leave them with massive goose eggs. Kathy Kelly was in the ring to interview Stephanie Vaquer, and just as she got the question out, we got another brutal assault. Presh, again, I don't know about the servers on Twitch. This is the Turnbuckle Studios Twitch, so I can't unfortunately answer that question for you, my friend. And Liv Morgan attacked and assaulted Stephanie. Kathy Kelly took a very hard and vicious bump, was down in the corner and had to be escorted from the ring. Refs and officials from the back came out to break it up. Liv grabbed the microphone saying, "I knew your mother was trash, but I didn't know she raised a little witch." Yes, I am paraphrasing, ladies and gentlemen, because we got to keep it PG. This was a segment that, again, I think if we could have kept this to a verbal confrontation, and we're going to get into the verbal confrontations again a little bit later, would have worked so much better, so much sweeter, and could have maybe given them a longer match this weekend at WrestleMania. We then go backstage again, and we were waiting and wondering, are we going to get Asuka and Io at WrestleMania? Is it going to wait? Are we going to get the Kabuki Warriors put into the women's tag match because Nikki Bella can't go? And we didn't get an answer. We saw Asuka in the back with Io Sky, calling her Rhea Ripley's sidekick, and then still ordering Kairi Sane around and making a match, Kairi Sane versus Io Sky, for later in the evening. We had seen a confrontation earlier because the week before WrestleMania, it is all hands on deck. But let me tell you about that confrontation in just a moment here. But first, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to take a look at how you can help us.
A Turnbuckle affiliation program is looking for more people. If you have passion level for pro wrestling, sports, videos games, or something else, then Turnbuckle Studios is the place to be. If you have ever wanted to pursue content creation and want to join our team, then we would love to have you. Check out turnbucklestudios.org or contact us by email today because your future is now, and we want you to tap in.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you have ever wanted your break in podcasting, content creation, a potential collaboration, or just to help us out behind the scenes, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. Hit that join button. Email us your credentials. Tell us how you can help us, how you believe we can help you. We will sit down as a collective and find the right fit. All of that and so much more at turnbucklestudios.org. So we had seen a confrontation earlier in the night as the MFTs minus Tama Tonga were in the building, and we saw them come face to face with the Usos and LA Knight, who were going over strategy for their six-man tag at WrestleMania against The Vision and I Show Speed. What came of that? We got a six-man tag. 3 members of the MFTs who were getting ready for an 8-man street fight on SmackDown versus LA Knight and the Usos, who of course had their match at WrestleMania. This, again, back and forth contest. We wound up with Solo Sikoa, JC Mateo, and Tonga Loa competing. And in this situation, I think that Solo should have been maybe kept out of the equation. To be honest, I think Solo should have been the guy at ringside, and you go with Atala Tonga. Now, this match was a great showcase for tag team wrestling, and especially six-man action, but it did wind up getting really, really confusing. We wound up with that cluster of everybody trying to hit their different finishers. And then all of a sudden, Tama Tonga from out of nowhere distracts Solo Sikoa? I thought they were family. Yes, we're getting that tension. And that tension is building on SmackDown. Where do we go with that? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know. I can't tell you. But Solo allowed himself to get distracted by Tama's presence, which pulled him and JC away from the match, allowing LA Knight to hit the BFT and pick up the win over Tonga Loa to build that momentum for WrestleMania for their six-man tag. This match really wasn't needed, but I know that it was there for that tag team showcase, and it got 2 teams ready for their big matches over the course of the weekend. Again, ladies and gentlemen, a situation that brought physicality that I don't think was needed. Gunther came out to discuss his situation and why he was picking Seth Rollins, why he attacked Seth Rollins, because we know that it was not at Paul Heyman's behest. But before we could get a word out, Seth attacked. And again, back and forth. I don't know. This segment just didn't do anything for me. We already knew it was going to be a great match. If Seth wanted the reason, he should have waited and got the reason. But Gunther did return to the ring and explain to us why it's personal for him, stating that instead of Seth Rollins proving why he was the greatest wrestler that he claims he is, he aligned himself with Paul Heyman. So Gunther, for whom the business and the mat is sacred, said it's personal because I have to expose you as a fraud. Ladies and gentlemen, Seth Rollins, I know he was injured and lost the vision when he was taken out by Braun Breaker because of his shoulder injury. This didn't need to drag Paul Heyman back into it, other than the fact that Gunther had told Paul, "You owe me far more than a big thank you for doing this." Gunther showed that he was not aligned with Paul Heyman, and he was doing this for himself. And I'm great with that. In fact, it led to a great match at WrestleMania. But why do we need every one of these promos and matches really getting physicality? Again, ladies and gentlemen, we got the simplicity with having Brock and Oba sign their contracts separately. And speaking of that, we're going to come to that part here shortly. But we got our match made by Asuka earlier as Io Sky took on Kairi Sane. We've seen these two women battle before. We've seen them tag. These two women, again, ladies, if you are aspiring to be a professional wrestler, please watch the WWE Women's Division and try and invest yourself and learn about women's wrestling. Watch them, study them. This was a masterpiece. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this was even more of a masterpiece than Chris Masters. I'll say it right there. Sane did take control, but of course, Io is able to fight back into the match, as she always does. We know that she is slated to sort of fight from underneath, even though she and Kairi are similar size, similar stature, similar style, all of that. Now, Asuka interfered, of course. We got Rhea Ripley coming out to make the save, as we had just seen the previous weekend on SmackDown, when Io actually lost a clean, decisive victory to Jade Cargill. Now we had Rhea coming out to make the save, causing the distraction for Asuka. But then again, we got Jade Cargill and her goon squad of Michin and B-Fab interjecting and attacking Rhea from behind. This allowed Asuka to get involved again, giving Kairi Sane the win, which is intriguing because now it's adding another layer to that whole thing. Because Kairi is always seemingly incidentally responsible for Asuka losing. This was a case of, was this Asuka showing her how to do it and get it right? Because Kairi Sane picked up the win. This was something that I think Kairi needed, but I know Io needs the win. Io was left off of WrestleMania, off of the card, so to speak. But would she make her presence felt at the show of shows? Does this lead to Io and Asuka tonight? Does it lead to this down the road? This is a situation where the three of them now, where you need to figure out the direction for the three of them. Are we going to get this at Backlash? Are we going to go to Saturday night's main event or Clash in Italy in May, dragging this out, or do we get those answers tonight? We will have to stay tuned and find out. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, we go back to Triple H and Adam Pearce in the ring as they brought Obafemi out to sign his name to the contract for the match against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. So we were not going to get the chaos that ended the show the previous week. Oba came out, he signed the contract, he spoke his piece, but Paul Heyman was there. And Paul Heyman was on the ramp. Paul Heyman did not get in the ring. Paul Heyman did not try and get in Oba's face, anything like that. In fact, he elevated Obafemi, which is what Paul Heyman does as a great heel manager. But he warned Oba that it can all come crashing down at WrestleMania, and come the summer, no one will remember his name. But he also made a very, very intriguing offer to Obafemi, saying that his door is always open after WrestleMania comes crashing down around him. This, ladies and gentlemen, Obafemi has gotten so good on the mic in such a short time. I love it. And then you're going and getting that back and forth with a legend, a Hall of Famer, the GOAT, Paul Heyman. This was, again, masterful. We did not get the physicality between him and Brock that night. It was the simplicity of it all. I absolutely loved it. I was bought in. I was hyped for the match. A very, very intriguing tag team match came next, as four members of our six-man Intercontinental Championship ladder match at WrestleMania squared off, as Javon Evans and Dragon Lee teamed up to take on JD McDonough and Rusev. We hadn't seen Rusev. We hadn't heard from him other than knowing he was in the match. What type of statement was going to be made, and by whom? You had the brute force of Rusev, the lucha and high flying abilities of Dragon Lee, Javon Evans, and JD McDonough, who is known to be an aerial assassin. Sorry, Will Ospreay, JD McDonough is the aerial assassin and the one true. This was a masterpiece, though. Like, Rusev and JD worked very, very well together. They worked in solid continuity, and they controlled the match. Of course, you've got Javon Evans and Dragon Lee, who, again, seemingly love to punch above their weight. And yes, they did pick up the win, but it was what happened after the match. JD and Rusev, of course, beating down Dragon Lee and Javon Evans. And Rusev then showed exactly what he's capable of, exactly what he's going to do. And he laid everybody to waste to end this match. Ladies and gentlemen, one more segment from Raw, but first, now, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to check out our shop.
The Turnbuckle Studios store is open for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the merch and represent the best from the shows you watch on a weekly basis. Multiple styles to choose from with over 10 products available. Don't get left out and pick up all your favorites today. Find us at turnbucklestudios.org.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. Head on over to our shop. Support your favorite shows and your favorite podcasters. Wear what we wear. And as a reminder, all of those proceeds come back into our studios to bring you a better experience. And the store is powered by redbubble.com, so it is safe and secure and 24 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, turnbucklestudios.org/shop. The last segment of the night was a masterclass in storytelling on the mic. We saw this start off with impassioned promos from CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Then we got a few weeks of physicality. And then we got last week. Both men admitted why they hated each other. And it had nothing to do with an actual disdain for the other. It had to do with the respect and the admiration that they had for each other. Punk saying, I was, all of the hard work that you put in to have a 1,300-day championship reign. I hate you for that. I hate you for all of the hard work that you put in over that reign. I hate you for being here when I wasn't. Punk apologized for dragging Roman's late father's name into the equation, and Punk even admitting that he envied Roman. Punk even didn't like the fact that he had to share his first singles main event in WrestleMania with Roman Reigns. That was why he hated him. It had nothing to do with Roman as a person. It had nothing to do with Roman as a talent. It had to do with envy, with jealousy, with respect. Very, very appreciated. Roman said, that's probably the most honest thing I've ever heard you say. And admitting that he hates Punk because when Punk was gone, they cheered for him. They cheered loudly. His exact words, I hope that one day when I leave, I hope that they miss me as much as they missed you. Speaking, of course, of all of us in the WWE universe. There are a lot of naysayers out there who called this a segment that really did nothing. This segment spoke volumes for this match. This was an incredible promo by two of the best to ever do it, both in the ring and on the mic. This was a statement. We didn't need the physicality. We needed the brutal honesty. And we got it. This segment did so much more to elevate that match. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to come back here in just a moment and talk about what to expect tonight on Monday Night Raw. But first, you need to check out everything going on here throughout the week.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday night, we are on call as the Raw Patrol is on duty at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday, we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursdays, we roam the jungle with the Boar's Nest at 9 p.m. Friday, we invite you to come for a ride with the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday, be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. And later in the day, the Locker Room presents Wrestling Recap delivers at 7 p.m. Always be aware that weekend shows can vary in times, as the PLE Patrol and other watch party streams are always a must-see. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day and watch all of the latest episodes on turnbucklestudios.org/shows. And please do not forget to drop a like, follow, and to subscribe to all of our channels, and when the time is right, all you have to do is tap in.
And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to let you know that now, officially beginning this Sunday, April 26th at 7 p.m., this show will move to Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. and become the Wrestling Recap, as we will cover Raw and SmackDown, maybe a little bit of NXT as well. We are going to cover everything going on within the WWE. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, we had to do it to cover the week after WrestleMania. So thank you. But turnbucklestudios.org is your home for the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. You just saw our weekly calendar. That's the new one. And ladies and gentlemen, it's added the PLE patrols. It's added some different things. Aside from this change of this show moving to Sundays beginning this coming weekend, the Boar's Nest is going to move back to Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. There is going to be a new look. There's going to be a new theme for that. We just don't know the official date yet. Bubba Duke is keeping that hush, hush. But meet the team, meet the hosts of those shows by going to the host section at turnbucklestudios.org. Myself, Bubba Duke, Chris Parrish, Carl Carafel, and Chris Best, and our newest member, Logan Thompson. Check out each of our individual links to get our shows and watch our latest weekly live episodic shows. All of that and so much more at turnbucklestudios.org. Ladies and gentlemen, not a lot has been revealed tonight. We know, based on what was said last night, that we are going to hear from our new World Heavyweight Champion, Roman Reigns. I do believe that Cody Rhodes is scheduled to make an appearance. I think he said that last week that he was going to show up on Raw tonight. Given what happened at WrestleMania, I have to assume we are going to hear from Seth Rollins. We are going to hear from Paul Heyman and the Vision in regards to Braun Breaker's return at WrestleMania. Do we get Asuka and Io Sky? Do we hear from our new women's tag team champions, Brie Bella, and the newly re-signed Paige? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Paige made her return at WrestleMania. Are we going to hear from Obafemi? Do we hear from Paul Heyman? Do we get an answer as to what we saw to kick off night 2, when after losing to Oba, Brock Lesnar left his boots and gloves in the ring, seemingly waving goodbye. Do we hear from Gunther over what happened because of how he beat Seth Rollins? Do we hear from Gunther as to what it is that Paul Heyman owed him? Where do we go? Who's going to return? Who's going to get called up? Ladies and gentlemen, there is going to be a lot. We knew the landscape shifted with all of the title changes that we saw take place at WrestleMania. We have, like I said, new women's tag team champions. We have a new women's world champ, or a new women's world heavyweight champion in Liv Morgan. We have, let's see, Paige and Brie, Liv Morgan. Becky Lynch is our new women's intercontinental champion. Roman Reigns. The landscape has shifted, and just how much more and how dramatically does that landscape shift now as we prepare for Backlash coming up on May 9th. May is going to be a very, very busy month for all of us here at Turnbuckle Studios. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Thank you for allowing me to come into your homes each and every Monday at this time. And ladies and gentlemen, please always remember the world is better with you in it. From all of us here at Turnbuckle Studios, to those of you out there wherever you are, good night, good luck, we out, and I will see you all on Sunday.
In the locker room, a guy you'll find loves bad hockey teams, can't deny. His best friend is just a hand so true, loyal until his friend goes number 2. During the heat of the game, it's clear he's a champ when all else disappears. Rally the team with a wink and a cheer. He's the leader that everyone fears. Quickly, it's a real